Welcome to the George Mason Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Bill Roll. We've got a great show for you here tonight. Coach Tony Skinn is with us. We'll also talk to the junior point guard of the Patriots, Corey Mincy, and we'll get to all of that coming up here on the show. We start, though, with Coach Skinn and the impressive start your team has had. A 9-0 start to the season, the school record. Had a little bit of a stumble in the last outing against Virginia Tech, but to me, it was just kind of a one little 3.5-minute burst there at the end of the first half where they got hot from the outside, and it was a tough one to get back in. But what did you take away from that game?
You know, for one, it was our first true road test. I didn't expect that game to be easy, but it literally took 3 minutes and the game was over. I believe Malik Presley went to the free throw line. He missed the front end of a 1-and-1. We didn't get back transition-wise. We turned the ball over 2 times in a row, and then all of a sudden, what should have been a 2-point game, possibly going into halftime, it turned into a 13-point deficit, and really just couldn't come back from that deficit. And so it was a learning tool for us. It's good to see ourselves in a different atmosphere. Normally, we watch clips when we're trying to break down every practice, but we actually just watched the last 5 minutes of that first half because there's a lot to learn from that.
It's almost reminiscent of going back to your playing days, the Creighton game, the famous one that everybody talks about where Coach L kind of locked you guys in that room and said, you're going to watch this game over and over again. Mm-hmm. Same kind of feeling watching the last 5 minutes?
A little different because if you want to take it back to 20 years, I believe we played UC Irvine. We then played Wake Forest. We beat UC Irvine. We went to overtime against Wake Forest. Right. And then we came home, and it was just one of those games against Creighton. And I remember the meeting I had with Coach L. That's when he actually pulled me in the office to tell me that he was going to take me off the ball. And I didn't like that very much. But it was a season. It was one of those things that just kind of turned our season around for sure.
When you look, though, taking the Virginia Tech game out of it, 9 straight wins to start the season, a new school record for that. Also, even with the loss, you've tied the best 10-game start in school history with the 83-84 team. There's been a lot of positives, obviously, to take away in the first month of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, again, for me, to be honest with you, going to Virginia Tech, it was house money for us. We needed a different type of test. We needed to just see how we could play away from home, away from our comfort zone. But it's a long, long season. There's so many different parts of our season. And when you look at the injuries that we've had, a Braden O'Connor, Masai, Fat, to be, 9-1, I'm happy with that start for sure.
I want to talk to you about some numbers here. We'll get a little geeky analytically. 71 today in Ken Palm. You guys started the season at 91, so you've already jumped up there. The net rating has you at 56. You're one of 8 teams in the A10 that's in the top 100 in the net. The Big East only has 7, so it kind of tells you where the A10 is right now in the basketball landscape. So a lot of people, after the Virginia Tech loss, people that are out there saying, oh, well, there goes the at-large bid. When you look at the numbers, there's plenty of opportunity to get some quality wins in league play.
Yeah, absolutely. Credit to the A10. We're handling business right now. I try not to pay too much attention to metrics, especially when it doesn't have to do with us. We have to take it one game at a time and control the controllables. But it's good to see that we're representing our league, and hopefully once we get into league play, it translates.
You've talked in some of your post-game press conferences about trying to find different combinations, what works, what doesn't. Now that you're 10 games into the season, do you still feel like you're trying to find the right combinations, or do you feel like you've kind of settled in and hey, in this situation, I know I can call on this guy, or are you still trying to feel people out again without your preseason first teamer, Braden O'Connor?
To be honest with you, because this is on record, we're still trying to figure it out.
Okay.
I've said it before, we've got 8 or 9 starters, and then when you look at the other 2 or 3 guys that are coming off the bench, a guy like Emmanuel Conga, a guy like Devin Booker, those guys deserve to play, and we're still trying to figure it out. Different games is going to give us a different set of problems, and as we move forward, we're going to need those guys.
When we talk about Braden O'Connor, we're hoping that maybe he'll be back, if he can get back in January, right around league play. We're not sure. Obviously, you and I are not doctors, but you have a great rotation of guards right now. As you mentioned, it's even hard to find Devin Booker, a very talented freshman, to find him minutes. How do you then find a way to get Braden O'Connor minutes when you think about all the success you've had already?
Yeah, I think that's especially in this landscape, that's the new X and O's, trying to figure that out. Trying to manage that. Braden Connor is a 30-minute guy. He's a first teamer. And we're going to have to figure it out, to be honest with you. I think that when he's healthy, if he's healthy, he's going to play. And obviously that's going to affect some minutes down, for some other guys and some of our personnel. But we're going to have to figure it out because it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so 10 games into the season, is there one player, one thing that about this team that you're surprised at? Like when you sat down and looked at things at the beginning of the season, you said, okay, this is my expectation, but somebody has surprised you or something has surprised you with this team of how well they're doing something, how they're not doing something, whatever it may be?
I think just, obviously we got guys like Corey Mincy that's, playing phenomenally well. Jahari's coming into his own. But I would say the one thing that just our cohesion, our connectivity. Again, 11 new guys, injuries, the coachability of this group, it's really allowed us to just move faster than I thought we would. So I would say our connectivity has been there and it's helped us.
What's been the biggest challenge so far in the first 10 games? I guess you've mentioned maybe the injuries, dealing with that, but outside of that, has there been something that you're like, hey, you know what? I wish these guys were able to do this a little bit easier than they are?
Yeah, well, again, I'm a greedy coach defensively, and I just don't think we're there defensively just yet. I still think we're learning a lot of different things that naturally that it's going to take some time. We had that group last year who had the previous year, and so they kind of knew certain things that were non-negotiables. And we're still trying to find our teeth defensively.
And I'm glad you said that because I've had some friends of mine that'll watch the press conferences after the games, and they always get a text, what does Tony mean when he says we got to show our teeth defensively? Yeah. So explain it. What do you mean when you say, hey, we got to show our teeth defensively?
It's just another version of our pressure. It's another version of our half-court defense. We've been really good from a metric standpoint in a half-court. We keep people out of the paint. We press for 40 minutes. We change up defenses, and we do it with a certain tenacity that I think is one of the best in the country. We're just not there yet.
All right, we got Corey Mincy coming up in about 30 seconds or less. Give me a good evaluation of your point guard here so far in the season.
A good evaluation?
A good evaluation. A coach's evaluation. Doesn't have to be good or bad. I mean, good or bad, but just give me a quick evaluation from your standpoint as a coach about your point guard.
Corey is he's one of my favorite players that I've ever coached. When we took Corey, obviously it's like speed dating when you go on the portal, right? You don't really know what you're getting.
Right.
But we knew right away the type of kid that he was. Very, very coachable. I knew he could really shoot the basketball. His stats said so. He could really pass the basketball. What I think I've been impressed with him was just his leadership. And it's obviously helped him. He's scoring out of his mind right now. He's one of those guys that shows up to practice every single day. And it's not an easy task when, offensively you're carrying the weight, but then also defensively you're at the head of the snake. And he's just been phenomenal on both sides of the floor. And, again, he's a guy that I can trust, a guy that I can rely on both on the ball and off the ball.
All right, we'll talk to Corey here coming up. Want to remind everybody, tickets starting for just $15 coming up Saturday for the 20th anniversary celebration of the historic 2006 Final Four run. Again, coming up Saturday, December 13th, as the Patriots take on Old Dominion at Eagle Bank Arena. At halftime, the program will recognize former head coach Jim Larinaga with a banner that will permanently hang from the rafters, and he'll be joined by members of the 2006 Final Four team. Visit Ticketmaster.com or call the Athletic Ticket Office at 703-993-3270 for tickets. We'll be back on the other side from here at Kelly's Oyster House and Bar in Fairfax with the Patriots point guard, Corey Mincy. Welcome back here to the George Mason Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Bill Rowland. Coming up in our last segment, we'll be rejoined by head coach Tony Skinn, talk about the 20th anniversary reunion of the Final Four team coming up this Saturday against Old Dominion. But right now, it's my pleasure to be joined by the Patriots point guard, Corey Mincy. And Corey, before we get to a lot of things, let's look at some of these numbers you've been putting up here. 18.9 points a game, that's tops on the team. 4 assists a game, also tops on the team. You've been on quite the heater run here for the first 10 games of the season. What do you attribute this fast start to?
Well, first I just want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is just an amazing opportunity to be here and be playing with George Mason. But just the coaches, coming here, being here the first day, Coach Tony always told us that he's going to let us play with freedom. And so, right now, the numbers really speak for themselves. But just being able to be in this offense with Coach Tony and be able to sit down with him and all the coaches and the coaching staff and just go over certain things and what we see and watching film every day, just allow me to pick and choose my spots and help my teammates get open has been the easiest thing right now.
Obviously, your college career started at Presbyterian, then you came here to George Mason. But really, your basketball journey started in high school. And one of the things that you talked about, I've seen in other interviews, is you had to work in high school your senior year while you're still playing basketball. And the lessons you learned. Tell me in the audience here about Mr. Willie at the Marriott.
Oh, man, Mr. Willie is an amazing guy. When I got there, I was just a 17-year-old kid just trying to make $1 an hour, just trying to be somewhere and earn a couple bucks to just go buy certain shoes and clothes and stuff that I wanted. But, at a young age, I had to grow up. I had to grow up real fast, and he was somebody who as a man who worked a 9-to-5 job for a long time, he was able to mentor me and show me the ins and outs and the different things and many different businesses that's going on. So, he's somebody that I'll forever respect. I feel like day to day, we look at those kind of people who work 9-to-5 jobs and just say, hey, get over certain things. But, those people really go through hard times. And being able to see that, I knew that's not kind of something I wanted for myself. But being in that situation where I could see the different side of the world, it just wanted to make me work harder.
A lot of life lessons then, obviously, from having to work at such a young age, I would imagine. Coach Skinn, after Mason lost the A-10 title game last year against VCU, said he was going to go in the portal. He was going to find guys that wanted to come and boogie with us, if you will. You, to me, of all the people that he's brought in, seem to kind of, are the guy that represents more than anything else. What was your first conversation like with the staff when they wanted to bring you here to Mason? And did you see that quote from him? Did he talk about that of, hey, we want guys to come here and be themselves?
Yeah. That was one of the first things he told me on the phone, but he's always talking about his Patriot pressure first. Like I always tell everybody, Coach Tony and the staff, they were the first people to FaceTime me, in the portal. I remember it was an early FaceTime call early in the morning that I was still in my bed asleep, getting a million portal calls. But, when I saw the unknown number and I answered the call, he was like, hey, Coach Tony Skinn with the whole staff in the background, my highlight tapes playing, and just them breaking down, what George Mason's about, what the coach has been about, and, just having that call and seeing the energy from the staff and everybody with the whole organization of George Mason, that was just so amazing in that moment.
All right, every March during the Selection Sunday show, there's always the conversation of which teams got left out, why they got left out. We kind of had that last night with the college football playoff thing. I know, even though you're from Georgia, you're a big Alabama fan.
Correct.
So I know you were thrilled that your Crimson Tide ended up in the college football playoff last night.
Yes. It's just one of those things, it's just about history and background. We didn't have one of our amazing games, but, when you're such a great team, you have so much history and so much background of winning, why wouldn't you want to see us in there? So, it's just a blessing to see us in there. You guys will be seeing us in the national championship on January 14th. So I can't wait for everybody to watch us, get our revenge back.
Now, how does that work when you're at home visiting people and, obviously you grew up just outside the shadow of Atlanta, so
Right.
you're right there in Bulldog country.
Right.
How did you end up an Alabama fan from being from Georgia? Because that doesn't make – it's almost like being a Cowboys fan here in D.C.
So the main story is, Amari Cooper is from Florida. He's from Florida, and all majority of my family is from Florida. So being down there, going to a lot of football camps, I've just seen him a lot growing up. And so I remember telling my dad one day, who is this guy? I just want to follow him and watch him. So I was on YouTube every day watching his highlight tapes, and just he happened to play for Alabama. So around the 2010, 2011, I'm seeing him and A.J. McCarron win national championships, play together. So that's just why I just need people to know, I'm a true fan. I know my history. I know my facts about him. I'm just not really a bandwagon.
I was going to say, if you're pulling out stuff from 2010, now 15 years ago, you definitely absolutely a true fan. All right, so we know 20th anniversary. You've probably heard all the stories about Coach Skinn, Coach Butler in the Final Four and all that stuff. I want to show you something. I apologize to people here. If you watch this on TV, you will see this highlight. I just want to know if you've seen this play. For those of you that are wondering, this is Tony Skinn in the Olympics against James Harden. I want to get your reaction to this play.
Yeah, that was AI. That was edited.
That's actually real. Yeah. That was actually real. He actually bodied James Harden with the crossover, broke his ankles. Wait, did you know that your coach had those kind of moves?
Nah, so AI is a big thing right now. That's why a lot of our teachers are telling us to not use AI, because stuff like that can be edited and shown like that. So, yeah, we got to stop that.
I know in talking to Coach Butler, he was talking about you had 6 threes in a game earlier, and you were asking him about, you ever had 6 threes in a game? And Lamar's like, I never had 6 threes in a game. So you got to feel pretty good about seeing these guys, and you're doing some things that some of the legends at the school have never done before.
Yeah, it's just amazing to be around those type of guys. Coach Lamar and Coach Tony and even Coach Lewis, just hearing about their basketball background and being able to, pick their brains and just take many different things out of their games and listen to them has been nothing short of amazing. They have so many different parts of the game that I can take from, so it's just been a great process for me right now, and it's just been made me going out there on the floor playing way easier, just having such a great basketball background and program behind me.
I know in a previous interview you talked about being down to Coach Lou and some shooting competitions. Have you evened things up yet?
Yeah, so right now I'm currently +3. I'm still down right now. But I'm working my way back up. But you got to let the old guy win sometimes. You got to let him feel good about himself. So I'm just showing love to my guy right now.
Make the comeback in the second semester. It all makes sense. Well, Corey, thank you for coming by. We appreciate it. We'll see you Saturday out there against Old Dominion and obviously all through the season. So coming out, support the guys. Corey Mincy, starting point guard of your George Mason basketball team, averaging 18.9 points a game, 4 assists, both leading the Patriots in both scoring and assists. We'll be back with head coach Tony Skinn. We'll get his reaction to your AI comment here on the other side. Live from Kelly's Oyster House and Bar here in Fairfax. And welcome back to the George Mason Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Bill Rowland. Thanks again to junior point guard Corey Mincy for joining us in the last segment. I'm now rejoined by the head coach of the Patriots, Tony Skinn. And I don't know if you want to respond to what Corey said about it being fake, your video of dropping James Harden in the Olympics, or we just want to let that go and he'll have to deal with that at practice.
No, so we don't play till Saturday. My comeback will be maybe 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
I will not want to look forward to that then, yes. Obviously, normally at this point, Coach, we would talk about your upcoming opponent. I know your focus all week long is going to be on Old Dominion coming up on Saturday, but it is going to be a special weekend. You've got a lot of friends, family coming in for the 20th reunion of the Final Four team. Again, I know you guys have to hear about it all the time. Everybody that meets you says, "Oh, I remember where I was in 2006," but it's still a pretty special weekend.
No, I've been looking forward to this week for a very, very long time. It was one of our very first initiatives when I took the job. A guy like Coach Larranaga, who's been, the greatest coach to ever coach at George Mason, the history, the culture, everything that he laid, the foundation. I'm happy we get to celebrate not just our team, but him the right way. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm focused on ODU, but it's going to be a great weekend for sure.
You've always been a pretty forward-thinking guy. Go back, if people don't realize, you played 1 year junior college down in Clinton, Texas. Then you came back home to Maryland, decided not to play basketball for a year because you wanted to have all 3 years at George Mason, which obviously would have altered things. Had you played that year, you wouldn't have been on that 05-06 team.
Yeah.
How is that kind of process of looking forward and kind of planning things out, how has that also worked in your coaching life?
Yeah, I think it's all about what you just said, just the process of just kind of understanding, just being the everyday guy. That sit-out year was probably the longest year of my life, not being able to play basketball.
Right.
A lot of different distractions, a lot of different things that you don't want to go through as a hooper at 19 years old. But the one thing that it helped me understand was goal setting. Just setting goals and the things that you have to do on a day-to-day basis to be able to get to what you ultimately want to get to. And the coaching is the same way. Just waking up every single day, staying focused and having a positive mindset and just staying the course. The process is, you can't skip the process.
I don't want to make this a generation versus generation thing because I think that's played out. But do you see that in some instances, and this isn't about anybody on this particular team or any of in the past, but is it hard these days to kind of convince guys, hey, you know what, you might be better off just staying the course where you are rather than trying to jump? And we see this all the time. High school kids play on 4 or 5 different AAU teams, play with 4 or 5 different high schools instead of like, hey, this makes sense to become a legend or to just follow this process that you're in currently.
Yeah, it's unfair to say just because even 20 years ago, things were so different.
Sure.
And, if I was 20 years younger, I can't say, I wouldn't have jumped in the portal. I think the biggest thing is just kind of understanding when it's all said and done, anytime you face any sort of adversity, you can't really run around it, whether it's in life, whether it's in hoops, you have to be able to face it on. And, I think it's, these kids are so much more exposed this year, this landscape than we were. We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have guys, constantly jumping on our backs because we had a bad game. We couldn't run, right? Flight. It's a different generation, and we've got to be able to adapt to it as coaches, and, it's not going anywhere.
One of the guys who will not be at the reunion this weekend is Gabe Norwood because he is still playing over in the Philippines. How remarkable. He turned 40 back in February. He's going to be 41 during their season. And that dude's still out there getting it done. Yeah,
well, if you watched us back in the day and you watched Gabe Norwood, you knew he was going to be a pretty good player. I didn't think he was going to play for 20 years, though, because of his athleticism. A guy that jumps that much and that high does not play for 20 years.
Right.
I don't know what type of genes he has, but, Gabe is, till this day, one of my favorite teammates, if not my favorite teammate that I've ever played with. And so to see his career and the way he's flourished, I'm super happy for him and his family.
It's pretty remarkable. Obviously, you've taken over. You're the head coach now. You've got Coach Butler Lamar's on staff with you. Will Thomas, Chris Fleming have joined me on doing some games for the broadcast. It's kind of cool to see everybody still in the area. I run into Jai on occasion when he comes down for a practice. I mean, guys are still connected, and it feels like it's more than just because you guys made it to a Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, again, the cheat code is we did have a lot of guys that's from the area, right?
Right.
So, 20 years later, we're still in the area. It's a unique thing. We're still always communicating. We're on a group chat. I try to stay out of the group chat because some of the conversations are nonsense. But again, seeing these guys on Saturday, it's going to feel like a reunion, but at the same time, it's not, just because we're still in communication with each other. We've never lost touch over the last 2 decades.
Any coaching advice in those group chats?
No, you know what? I respect the guys. No coaching advice.
All right, that's probably a good thing. Is there one guy or one thing that you're looking forward to this weekend when everybody gets back together? Somebody that maybe you haven't seen in a while. I mean, you talk about having the group text, but I know Tim Burns is coming down from New York. Other guys are coming. Is there one guy that you're like, man, I haven't seen this guy in 20 years. It's going to be great.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I think I've seen everybody.
Okay.
To be honest with you, obviously, seeing Coach L. I haven't seen Coach L in Fairfax in 20 years.
Okay.
So having a chance to see him, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, and we're looking forward to Saturday as well, not only for the Final Four reunion, but to see you guys take on Old Dominion, try to bounce back from that loss against Virginia Tech. It's head coach Tony Skinn, and if you want to come out on Saturday, tickets start just $15 for the 20th anniversary celebration of the historic 2006 Final Four run. It's coming up Saturday, December 13th. The Patriots taking on Old Dominion at Eagle Bank Arena. At halftime, the program will recognize former head coach Jim Larrañaga with a banner that will permanently hang from the arena rafters, and he'll be joined by members of the 2006 Final Four team. Visit Ticketmaster.com or call the Athletic Ticket Office at 703-993-3270 for tickets. That's going to do it for us tonight here at Kelly's Oyster House and Bar. Be sure to come out and see us on Saturday as the Patriots take on Old Dominion.